my, I won't say better judgment, but basically, yeah, I typically do these things recorded and don't stream them live, especially if there's a lot of technical business going on. But I was feeling impatient. I didn't want to have to wait for the video to render and then upload, and then that takes a long time. So I'm just going to do this, shooting from the hip. So welcome to our Wednesday reflection here at Redeemer. Things look a little different from your end. I got a new little webcam to fit on my setup. And so hopefully this will work out a lot better. It makes my desk space so much easier to not have to set up the things the way I normally did. I can move around and have my keyboard and my microphone. Anyway, great. I'm sure that makes you really excited. But what I want to talk today is not so much a reflection on something I've been thinking about or reading or whatever. This is a great way to help us get, up to running speed as far as our annual meeting, which is this Sunday, January 23rd, after the 10 o'clock service. My hope is that you'll come to the 10 a.m. service. We're going to make that service kind of happen a little quicker so that we can transfer over to our meeting as quickly as possible without as much of a turnaround. I have always said that the meeting will happen after the service. That's not to say it'll happen at 11 o'clock. It might happen sooner. It might happen a little after. So don't guarantee that, if I show up at 11, I'll be there for the start of the meeting. I'd rather you come to church, and therefore that we're getting started right off the top. Also, being a little ambiguous with that time just gives us some wiggle room because, as you know, when you're transferring from different platforms and whatnot, it may take more time. You have to give yourself a little grace time in between. All right, so here's how it's going to work. If you remember last year, we did a virtual-only meeting. We only had members of the vestry present in the room because at that time we were still worshiping virtually because of pandemic numbers last Epiphany. This year, that's not as much of an issue. However, given the fact that we've had Omicron numbers spiking, so much so that we have moved our diocesan-wide meeting from Natchez Convention Center to just an online virtual day, makes having a virtual presence in our meeting even more important. Ladies and gents, this online hybrid version was always going to happen, mostly because I know there's many interested people who love our parish but still don't feel safe coming back out in public, or they were out in public coming to public worship but have since retreated back home, and that's completely understandable. My family has been one of those number. So I think it's important for us to make it as easy for everyone to have their vote count. So having an in-person and online meeting is really just the best way to do it. And I mean, even more frankly, given the low turnout we had last week in church, we wouldn't have a quorum to do our business, and we'd have to reschedule the annual meeting. And I don't want to do that. I've already had to do it once. I'm not doing it again. So, all that to say, here's how the meeting will work. If you're planning on coming to the church in person, it's going to be really straightforward. You'll sit down in a pew, and we'll have a business meeting, and we'll conduct a vote. It's going to be really easy. If you're going to attend online, this will be a very helpful primer into how you can fully experience our meeting as best as possible via online. Much like last year, our worship service will stream via Facebook and YouTube, as we do every week. And then for the actual meeting itself, so that people can participate and ask questions and do all that in real time, we're going to be moving the meeting portion onto Zoom. Zoom, for those who may not know, is a teleconferencing software that allows for everyone to participate in the same room over their computers. So we can all ask questions, either typing in the comment section or, raise our hand and sort of be seen and heard. If you don't have Zoom on your computer, or if you're worried about the stability of your home internet connection, there's also a dial-in option. You can call a number from your phone, and though you won't be able to see us visually, you can hear everything that's going on, and you can also speak up and ask questions when it's time. The moderator for that meeting will mute people as needed, so that way we're not hearing each other chew or cough or stand up to go get coffee or something like that. So when there's open time for questions and whatnot, we will unmute people and let your questions be heard or read aloud if you're typing. But anyway, that's how it's going to work. Here's how the online voting works. And frankly, I'm leaning toward this is how voting for everyone will work, regardless of if you are in person or at home. Just because I think it's a really clear and straightforward vote that doesn't require counting paper ballots. However, I think we'll still have some paper ballots available for in-person people just in case as a backup. But so here's how this will work. At present, if you go to RedeemerBrookhaven.com/annual meeting, and by the way, the annual meeting webpage is in the description of this post. So if you wanted to check this out, you could do it. So right now, if you go to the annual meeting page, you'll see this. You'll see 2022 annual meeting, January 23rd, a little video where I explain our parish meeting scenario, kind of like what I'm doing right now. And then this is actually copied and brought over from last year's page. So you'll see priest in charge address. That is going to be a video of what I said on Sunday. You'll also go ahead and see, you'll see a link where you can nominate vestry and delegate people for the ballot. Right now we've got people running for vestry. I'd like to have some more. So if you still want to, if someone reached out to you and said, I'd like for you to consider running for vestry, and you want to go ahead and acknowledge that nomination, click on that link. It's going to send me an email directly. Or if you want to nominate someone else, you can click on this link in blue and it'll send me an email directly. We will also be accepting nominations from the floor, and that is for vestry and for delegate. One second. I will also say contrary to what's happened in the past, the alternate and delegate for annual council, those people that we elect to represent us on our diocesan-wide meeting, those are actually simply approved by the vestry. Those don't, according to our bylaws, those don't require a general vote. So we don't have to vote those people in the same way we would have to hold an election for a vestry member. However, I do think that past precedent has made it very normal for us to vote for our representatives to council. So the way I read the bylaws, and I think the way that we would still maintain having an election, is that if you want to run for council delegate / alternate, that you're putting yourself forward in front of the whole congregation, and they're saying, this is the voice of the people, this is who we want to have represent us. And then that is later ratified, essentially, by the vestry who would choose that. But according to bylaws, it actually is just the vestry's choice on who is our delegation. However, I think having a general election to ratify the voice of the people ain't bad. So anyway, if I use different verbiage to talk about electing vestry members and selecting delegates, that's why I'm using different verbiage. But anyway, yeah, it's all bylaws. Yay! Going through governing documents. All right. Anyway, so on this website, you're going to see the 2001 budget from this past year and the 2020 end-of-year financials and stuff. Those were links to documents that we needed for last year's event. Obviously, these are out of date and don't apply to this upcoming meeting. However, I will be, after our vestry meeting tonight, where we are finalizing our presentation to the larger audience, I'm going to be updating these links with the most recent budget and the most recent end-of-year financials and things like that. So all of these important documents will be updated for the upcoming meeting, but I can't do that until after our vestry meeting tonight. All right, so that is the landing page for the annual meeting at present. But here is what you will probably see when you actually visit this page in a few days. This is, if you remember from last year, a pretty familiar view. These are all the links for our meeting, and I've laid everything out as clean as possible. You can't see my mouse, can you? All right, so on Sunday, our Sunday worship button will take you directly to our worship service streamed on YouTube, or if you're watching via Facebook, you would go to your Facebook that way, or just by yourself. The next button over is our annual meeting, join video with Zoom app or mobile. Basically, that's just a button for the Zoom meeting itself. If you've been on any Zoom meetings, you know how this goes. You're going to click the button, and it'll take you into the Zoom meeting. I'm not going to click this button now because I've disabled the link. I don't want people logging in to the meeting I've set up for Sunday because I'm going to get 20 notifications that so-and-so has joined the meeting when in fact the meeting hasn't happened yet. So the meeting is scheduled. It's saved on my upcoming meetings list. I just haven't made the link live for everybody for obvious reasons. Likewise, the call-in. If you don't want to dial in over video conference and you want to call in with your phone, you would click on this link, and it would show you the dial-in instructions for our meeting. Again, this is last year's information, so it's out of date, but it will be refreshed with the current information in the next day or so. But again, you would essentially just call any one of these numbers, really. But since we're in Central Time, I would say do the Chicago number, and you would enter in the meeting ID. Again, this is not the real meeting ID. This is last year's number. So that is last year's number. It will be refreshed with a new number in the next day or so. But you would call into the meeting, and that's what it looks like. All right, and then finally, if you wanted to click here, this would take you to our agenda. This actually is our agenda. I might be moving, there's my talk. I might be moving it down further, somewhere down here, depending on what I know Josh and Mike are going to want to discuss. I think it might make more sense if I go after them. Anyway, we're still playing with that. But yeah, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to prayer, read the minutes from last year's meeting, give reports from last year, and then elect our vestry members. And then select council delegation. And then we're going to vote on the proposed budget, and then have a closing prayer. Hopefully, this will be a pretty straightforward, short meeting. And then probably the most important thing, aside from the Zoom button, that blue button, is down here, this kind of teal voting button. And what you'll do is you will click on that when it's time for you to make a vote, and it will send you to this this simple ballot. Again, this is last year's example. So the names you see here are not running for vestry. They are currently on the vestry. So anyway, thanks to James, Shannon, and Randall for being on vestry. Also, thanks to Josh and Mike for already being the senior and junior wardens, respectively. So they will have, this will be a fresh crop of nominees on this ballot, and it's really simple. You just select the three you want. In this case, we have 3 people running from last year. If we have more than 3 running this year, and so you would select the ones you want. You'd click done, and then I would get the results immediately. Again, there will be a fresh, updated ballot that would be live. I don't want to make the ballot available right now because we haven't received the names of everyone who is running. And to that point, again, all of this has to be a little fluid because we receive nominations from the floor. That includes vestry nominations and delegate nominations. And so all of this will be sort of waiting in the wings, with someone ready to update the ballot and then send out the live link. And so that is why, that's why I think this electronic voting is so much better than doing paper ballots, because you don't have to wait for someone to run over to the copier, make ballots, cut them in half, send out the little slips of paper to everybody with pencils and whatnot, mark them up, and then wait for someone to tally and count the results. To that end, I'm thinking about moving in the agenda, holding the elections sooner in the meeting. That way, if we need to have a runoff, we can work that out pretty well. So, if you're coming to the meeting in person, bring your phone. Bring your phone so that you can vote and click on the link. If that is just something that's not your thing, like you don't own a smartphone, we will find a way to get you a ballot. But my preference is for everyone to have a electronic vote. Anyway, that is my rundown of how all this is going to work. If you have questions or concerns, or you want to talk to me about anything ahead of the meeting, please do so. You can email me at andrew@redeemerbrookhaven.com. You can find all of the links to our stuff online by going to our website, redeemerbrookhaven.com. You can also call the church office here. That's a great way to do it. And also to that end, our beautiful, wonderful, website, which I'm bringing up right now. So if you go over to our website, which here it is, play with it. Like that home button is great. About us, clergy and staff, frequently asked questions, our history, pray and learn, excellent breakdown of what we're offering, a whole page on Angel's Attic, which is great, news, which is where I do the newsletter, and also other articles that I write or publish on behalf of the diocese, and our giving option is right there. You can give online, you can give a vehicle, or here's instructions on how to write a check. Anyway, all this to say is that our normal website, just for a minute, is going to be the annual meeting site. So when you go to redeemerbrookhaven.com, it's really just going to kick you over to this. I think it's just the easiest way to do it. But yeah, anyway. So all those links are going to work. This is technology. This is how the world works. And so we're going to do it too. Bringing the church into the 20th century. Yeah, 20th. Anyway, All right, that's all I have time for today. Y'all be well, and as always, my friends, God bless.